Welcome to the Game of Gymnastics podcast. This is going to be a bit of a different one. I'll start with the obvious, I suppose. British did not go how I wanted it to. And the frustrating thing is that I wasn't miles off. There was a lot of good parts of the routines. Every mistake I made was only a margin or a fraction off, but at this level, 1 degree off, and that's it. So I just want to sit down, properly talk about it, what actually happened, how I've felt about it since, and also go through some of the thoughts that have been going on in my head, because if I'm honest, there's been a lot and they've not all been positive. So we're going to talk through it. We're going to go piece by piece and take it as it comes. Not all competitions will go to plan, and even the best gymnasts will make mistakes. I mean, just look at Joe Fraser at the English Championships. Had a stinker at the English and then went 6 for 6 and hit 84 all around at the British. So there are levels to it. But to start with, I'm just going to go through the competitions that I've had this year so far. Realistically, at the English, didn't feel my best. My ankle had a lot of pain in it since I sort of half injured it again a week and a bit before the competition. So I was really struggling to actually get any power in the ankle. I was really struggling to find my footing, as it were. So vault was a bit of a mare. Like, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Like, I got it round okay-ish. It's just that I couldn't get the last 1%, 2%, something like that, just to get it around to my feet, which was frustrating. But we move on. Vault was never the thing that I was there for in the first place. So I wanted to just have a better routine, P-bar, high bar, and potentially pommel as well. So then I went on to P-bars. It was an okay-ish routine. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. Few pauses, few bent arms, few bits here and there, leg splits, all those sorts of things. But on the whole, it wasn't a bad routine. Just the landing at the end was probably ruined my score completely. So it's something to work on, and I did work on it quite a bit before or in between the English and the British. So you'll see how it's at least a little bit better at the British. Obviously, it's fine margins and it still could be better, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I went through start to finish, which is what I wanted to do, because I didn't do that as I wanted at the Welsh. So honestly, I was just happy to get through it. And bar was sort of similar. I mean, if anything, it was better because I got through, put everything on the bar. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but I got through start to finish. You can see me swing around in the background. It wasn't great. Squat full was late, squat half was a bit late. And Stolder Kachev was close, bent arms and things, but on the whole, I put it on the bar. I got through the routine start to finish, so I can't be too upset with how I actually went. Score was lower than I wanted, and dismount landing again was bad because I was terrified of landing on that ankle. I was terrified of it, and it's a lot better now, or at the very least, it was at the British. But you can't really see it there, but I landed in the worst possible shape I could have landed in. I landed in it. So if you can see this, if you're on the YouTube video or the Spotify with the video, you can see the landing shape there. It's really not good. Chest is all the way down. One foot is in front of the other. But you're going to be taking deductions for the chest. You're going to take deductions for lack of preparation for landing. You're going to take deductions for the inevitable steps that you're going to be taking. So there's a lot of things to be improved, but it was purely just to save the ankle and just to make sure that I wasn't under rotating specifically on that ankle. The other one was okay, but specifically the ankle that I had the surgery on was not reacting well. You might be able to say too cautious, but at the same time, I was like, I don't want to make it worse. It was already really hurting, so I had to just do what I had to do, really. I would get onto floor, but by that point, my ankle was a lot worse, and I think if I had competed, done everything the day before, floor might have been okay because it was a manageable sort of pain. But I think by doing things on podium training on the day, to be fair, it wasn't great. So maybe I wouldn't have. It did make it worse as well. Like, to be fair, I wasn't too fussed about it because I haven't done the numbers on floor. Like, it was like I probably had a better chance of doing a full floor routine before the Welsh than I did the English, just purely because of the short landing that I did Thursday after the Welsh. Did a short landing and it just pushed me so far back, or it felt like it pushed me so far back in terms of the recovery plan. So I almost felt more prepared to do landings, to do floor, to do vault before the Welsh than I did the English, just because of how the ankle was feeling. This just shows like the smallest things can make the biggest differences. But this is still just the English. I need to hurry up. Next was pommel. So it started okay. Just trying to remind myself of what actually happened. It started off okay. Like Luke just basically went just biggest swing. Like you're not going for an all-around score. You're just gonna have to attack it as much as possible. So that's what I started by doing. It was split legs in the zone, but like again, I'm not overly fussed because like the circle itself, the shape I was in, was a lot better than it normally would be, especially in a competition, because I'd normally tense up loads in competition. By the end, I sort of started like feeling a bit more wobbly and like sort of half falling off the pommel. And then by the time I got after the Shavado, I ended up having to do two like really weird circles where my weight was just completely off. My balance was completely off and ended up falling off the pommel. All in all, like I got back up, did the Roth, did the dismount, and it was okay. Like it wasn't bad. I got up in the dismount. It was okay. It was what it was. Like I put out a better score than I did at Welsh. I had a better circle, had better execution other than the fall. So I could be happy with that at the very least. So all I needed to do for the British was do the circle that I had at the start, stay consistent with it and get all the way through the routine with it. And so I had a plan forwards. So it was a win in that sense. And the English was always pretty much a preparation for the British anyway. Last up is rings. And realistically with rings, I didn't have the highest expectations of myself in the routine. I mean, I did my strength that I was planning on doing. I mean, it was an easy routine at the end of the day. It was an easy routine. By this point, though, I hadn't done the preparation fully in terms of the Winston Yamawaki backup to handstand. So I ended up bending my arms quite a lot on that. But the rest of the routine, relatively clean, relatively tidy. And all I didn't do, to be fair, was the dismount that I was planning on doing. The rings felt really slippy, which to be fair may have contributed towards me not doing the giant properly. But I ended up doing double back full instead of double double. Landed it quite well, to be fair, but I wanted to do double double because I felt like I was going to slip off the rings, and if I did a bigger swing, I probably would have. I just sort of downgraded the dismount, which is annoying because it was like one of my very few upgrades to be put in the routines. If something happens on the day of the competition or like in the routine where it's not going right and you have to downgrade to stay on or to stay on your feet, that's what you got to do. And that's what I had to do. But that was the English. And in all, I was okay with it. Like I wasn't happy, but I got through P-bar. I got through high bar. Those are the main points. And I was ready to hit the ground running when it came to the British. So I had a clear plan forwards and I was like, okay, it didn't go to plan, but I also wasn't fully prepared. So next time, for the 3 weeks in between the English and British, I'm going to fully prepare myself. I'm going to get vault way better, be able to push off my foot properly, get floor better, actually do some routines in the preparation and make sure I can get my grip right perfect on the rings for the double-double, make sure I stay on the pommel, P-bar, high bar. It's just staying the course because I'd seen a gradual progression towards where I wanted to go. So from the Welsh to the English, it was definitely moving in the right direction. So I couldn't complain. And I moved on. In this time, we did quite a few control comps, to be fair. We did a lot of preparation going towards the British. It was a lot of practicing the routines under the circumstances that the actual competition would be in. So doing the hour and a bit warm up, then going up to the apparatus, doing the touch, and then doing the routine. So there was a lot of preparation that we had done up to the point of actually getting to the competition. So I was actually quite happy with where I was going into the competition. The routines felt strong. I felt like I was getting through them really well. Fitness felt like it was there. Like it was getting to the point where I was actually happy with where I was, which is weird because I say it like it's a weird thing to be prepared for competition, but like at this point in my career, I really hadn't been prepared for a competition in a very, very long time. Like it was almost alien to me that I was putting my releases on pretty much every routine. I was getting through P-bars every routine. I was actually doing all around, and I was doing it well. Like, I was having maybe 1 or 2 falls per control comp, and those falls were very minor things. Like, it was the fall plus double front on floor because our floor is not great, and it's just difficult to be able to put that on your feet. Or it was the dismount on P-bars just because I didn't get quite right, like quite perfect, but after a routine it's also quite difficult. Or it was on, say, a rings dismount just because I'm trying to overdo it, just because I haven't got enough round to my feet. But like, I never under rotated a rings dismount or a high bar dismount or a floor dismount. I never did anything like that. So my ankle was actually in a pretty good position. So it was good. And I felt ready, and I felt like I was prepared, and I just wanted to get out there as quickly as possible, honestly, and put up a good performance and do what I had done in training. Because at the Welsh, at the English, I was upset, half because I hadn't done what I'd done in training. I hadn't put out what I knew I could, and it wasn't reflective of how I'd been training. I literally said that in the Welsh Champs episode. It wasn't reflective at all of how I'd been training. And this time I was prepared and I wanted to go out, but this time I wanted to actually do what I knew I could. And while always the routine prep can be better, the competition prep can be better, I was where I wanted to be. Like, I'd put myself in the best position possible to be able to succeed when it came to the actual competition, when it came to actually putting my best foot forward and doing the routines under the pressure of the arena and of the audience and of the scores, like, being necessary, and the Commonwealth Games selection on the line. All of that, I felt ready. So all that was left to do was actually do it. Now, competition day. I felt good. Like, there's not much else to say, but like, I felt good. Like, my shoulder was bugging me a little bit, but it had been all the way up to the time of the competition. Ankle felt good enough. Like, it was all like, I'm good enough to compete right now. And this was a good enough day as any to actually put out routines. So we start again with vault. It's lucky that we had the same start on English and British, just for the sake of storytelling, honestly, because it starts at the same point and ends at the same point. Starts on vault, ends on rings. I did all 6. I finally did an all-around competition this year. So again, we start with vault. Realistically, it was really good. I'm very happy with how vault actually went in the actual competition, because it was huge. Like, I got some mad height off the vault, and like, score wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. But Luke, literally after I did it, was like, that could triple. And I was like, yeah, probably could actually. It's a step forward. It's moving in the right direction, and it means that I have another thing to look forward to and to progress to, because that was a really good vault with adrenaline and with the right block and being able to actually get the twist round. I could put a triple round, and that's an exciting prospect for the future, if nothing else. I know that it wasn't the best score on the day. It was 13.5, like, it is what it is. It's not the worst, not the best, but I've got somewhere to go, and that's quite good. Next was P-bars. And I was actually really happy with this, to be fair. While I was doing it, I was like, oh, that's actually going pretty well. And then I made a mistake that I've literally never made in the prep in a competition before, ever. So, c'est la vie. But pommel was really good. Nice straight-ish arms. Under-semi half. Still split the legs, so I still need to work on that. Slipped on the under-semi, so bent my arms on that one. But then Makut's solid. Slight pause, but it's what, 10th. And then Healy, I bent my arms and I couldn't get up for fucking handstand. So I just didn't have the pressure I needed. Body weight wasn't in the right place, and I just didn't swing to handstand. So ended up swinging back down and swing back up, which is 5/10 for a free swing. And then the rest of the routine was okay. Dismount landing obviously could be better. It wasn't my best, but at the end of the day, like, I'm happy with I'm happy with all the skills other than the couple, one of which I've been trying to work on, and it has gotten better, and it definitely was better in the day, but still can be improved. And one that I've literally never had issues with. I've competed this since 2021. I've competed Heelys since 2021 and I've never taken a free swing on it. And somehow British Championships 2026 was the one to do it. I don't know how, but we move and it is what it is. But I was annoyed and I was very upset just because, like, I've literally not made that mistake before. Why have I made it now? Why is this the one competition where the little things just suddenly become like the things that aren't even there? It was like nothing was there before. Why is it now become an issue? Like, why? And it's frustrating and it's really annoying. But these little things that never happened before, it's like falling on a stolder on bar. Like, you never do it. But suddenly in competition, it becomes a fear and it becomes something that you might do because of the pressure, because of the fact that you're like doing a competition, because in a routine, sometimes things just go in preparation. Sometimes things do just go for no reason other than lack of, I don't know, concentration or lack of concentration on the right things. But realistically, it can just be things just happen. And it is what it is. Like, you can't do much about it other than accept that it's a part of the sport, accept that things go wrong and move on. But I was a bit upset by that, but I had to just sort of get with it, move on and go on to high bar because I knew high bar was the one that mattered. Like, above all of the other apparatus, this was the one that mattered. So I was like, okay, let's lock in and get some good work done. And to be fair, the start was really, really good. I ended up doing my squat full and I banged it straight in handstand. Like, no deduction on the handstand there. Squat half, bang in handstand, stole a Kachev, just barely off the bar. Like, I got my hands on. I got like just the tops of my hands on. And then I pinged off and I winded myself. Like, it hurt. I properly, like, I felt that. It hurt. It hurt in the metaphorical sense. It hurt in the literal sense. It just hurt. But I had to go on and do the rest of it. I had 30 seconds to get back on the bar. So I got back on and then wound up to my Coleman. It was good on the bar. I was just worried about falling off. Had a little bit of split legs, but it was okay. Stoda good. Straddle Kachev, good. Cross was actually okay. Stoda, dismount, both fine. Dismount landing, again, could be better, but damn, that fall, it cost me the final for sure. And I knew that as soon as I did it. I was like, damn, I've messed up my chances here. Like, what am I doing? But then also, what am I supposed to do about that? Like, when you're mid-fall, there is nothing you can do. And it's such a powerless position to be in. And it's really, really, really tough. But the important thing with that routine was to get back up and do the rest of it. So get back up, do the com and do the straddle Kachev, quast, stoler and dismount. I would have preferred a better landed dismount. Like, it would have been nicer to have landed the dismount better. Maybe better execution in the rest of the routine, but at that point I just wanted to stay on and get off. So while a lot of it was good, and there are definitely things to work on, and there's difficulty to improve, etc., it hurts. It hurts to have missed out on the final, on my chances of hitting a selection score, on doing the gymnastics I thought I know I'm capable of. It just hurts. Maybe you've not been in the same position, but if you're a gymnast, you'll get there. It will happen. And you can't decide when or where or why, but these things happen. Bad competitions happen, and you have to be able to dust yourself off and pick yourself up. Like, even if you're doing 6 apparatus and you've got one that you're focusing on, one that you want to make final on, if you mess up that one apparatus, you still have to do all 6. So that's what I had to do. So next was floor. And at this point, I just wanted to get through a routine, just get through start to finish, because I know I had done with my vault, but that's one skill, so it's a bit different. I wanted to get through start to finish on a routine. And first tumble was probably the last thing I would have wanted, because fourth was double front and took off really well, and then I slipped. I kicked out early and my feet just came out in front of me. So fell on that one. But then I was like, okay, just lock in, do the rest of the routine well. Triple twist, I nearly stuck, so that was awesome. Double twist, also nearly stuck, so that was okay. Like, I'd prefer to stick my side tumble, but we move. Wide arm handstand, again, all good, no issues there really. And I was just like, okay, just 2 more tumbles. If I can just land and get a decent enough score, I can at least be like, okay, if I hadn't done that fall, then I could have done this. And then I started wobbling all over the place on my 2.5 straight, which is annoying. I started wobbling all over the place on my Y balance. I'm just like, oh my God, just stand still. Just stop your feet moving. But to be fair, I was worried for this last tumble because I really did not want to land short. I nearly did, but I ended up just about keeping on my feet. Just about. I did double back and basically bounced off the floor. Like, I bounced back, my chest went down, and I had to literally chuck my left foot in front of me just to be able to catch myself instead of putting my hands down. So, which I did, but it would have been a big deduction. Both feet went out of the floor, and it wasn't ideal. So, big deduction there, big deduction on the first tumble, and I'm just like, can I just get through a routine? I just knew I just had to go onto pommel and just move on and just have a good, just try and finish strong. Just try and, like, everything's gone now. Everything I wanted for this competition is now gone. Can I just put something good together for these last 2 routines? Please. So obviously next was pommel, and in all, it was relatively clean. There was a few bits and pieces here and there that could have been better, but C-shear, counting, it was good. And then sewn, I kept it on and I kept my legs together, which was something I didn't do for Welsh and English. So improvement there. D-Russian also all right. Nothing too bad. East Ockley kept scuffing the pommel a little bit, but I stayed on. Step up good, step down good. And then I was just a bit all over the place with my body shape in my Shavado and Roth, but then ended up getting up for the dismount and getting through. It wasn't the best, but it certainly wasn't the worst. And I got through clean. And it was, to be fair, honestly, it was the worst piece in the preparation. And it was the best piece in the competition. You tell me how that works. And it's annoying. It is annoying because, I mean, I can't score as well as I would want to on pommel, just because of the shape, just because of how I circle. And it would take a very long time to put that right. Obviously, I'm going to try to. I'm going to put the work in to try and do it, but it will take a long time. I can't complain too much. I've put a clean routine out there, and that's what I wanted. So we move on to the next, which is rings. It's the best I've scored on rings in a very long time. I haven't scored well on rings at all since the code change, really. I haven't scored above a 12, and suddenly I scored above a 12. So that was something. Not good. I want to be much closer to 13 or at 13, but strength, like the position was good for my cross. Kip was good. Jonas and Yamawaki backup to handstand was also a lot better than it was at English. So, like, straighter arms. So that was good. Giant was fine. Double actually put it out there for the first time. 2 big steps on landing, but it was a lot better. And I'd finally put out something. Like, it wasn't as good as I wanted, but it was a step in the right direction. And finally, with pommel and rings, I actually done something. Vault, I've done that vault before and I've landed it a lot better. Floor, I've put much better floor routines out there. I made floor final last year. High bar, obviously I fell. P-bars, obviously I took the extra swing. Didn't make final in either of those. So it's something. It was something. And that was all I wanted really at that point. And I guess one of the frustrating things is that I felt a lot better going into it than you would have assumed based on what I did. There was only small mistakes, to be fair. And on the whole, it wasn't like the worst competition in the world. I know people had mares. I know people completely cracked under the pressure. I know some people did worse. And I'm not going to make light of that. Obviously, people can do worse. But based on how I was doing in the preparation, based on how things were feeling, how my body felt, and just what I wanted for the competition, what I wanted for my scores, what I wanted for the finals, it just wasn't the same. And I wanted more. I mean, can you blame me for wanting more? Can you blame me for wanting to have a better competition? Can you blame me for wanting to have hit Commonwealth Games selection scores, can you blame me for having wanted to make the high bar final again and actually put a decent routine out there? Can you blame me for having wanted to have competed the way I'd been training? Like, I feel like that's a reasonable request, to just do what I'd been doing in training. Like, it wasn't the best in training, it wasn't the worst in training. So obviously there's something there and there's things to be improved there. But I can't ask for like perfect training. I can't ask to be 100% on it every single time in training. Like, that's not gonna happen, is it? Ever. The point of training is to make the mistakes in training so you don't make it in the competition. I guess my biggest question would be, why isn't it happening in competition? Why am I doing so much in training? Why am I putting so much in and putting so much effort in for it to just not have a return, for it to not have for me to not get any reward out of the back of it? Why am I putting all this effort in for just my mind, I don't know, to falter and something to just go wrong? Also, why am I not at the level I want to be at? When I think about my skills and the progression and where I am, where I want to be, why is there such a gap there? Can't I close it? Why do I feel like a million miles away from where I want to be? Like, if I want to get to the competitions I want to get to, if I want to be at the level I want to be at when it comes to Commonwealth Games or Europeans or Worlds, Olympics in the long term, how am I supposed to close that gap? See where I am, see where I want to be, see how long it's going to take me. I don't know if there's a way of me getting to where I want to be. I don't know if there's a way of me getting to the level. I don't know if there's a way of me getting to the level I think I should be at, I suppose, as well. No, it's not all bad. And I have improved, and there are things to take. So double off rings, that was good. Better pommel routine, better rings routine. I finally put floor out there. I put a clean vault out there. There are things to like about it. The P-bar routine on the whole, minus the extra swing, was better. And execution-wise in the high bar routine, again, could be better, but the landing was better. Obviously, there's things to improve. There's things to make better. But in terms of what I could have done, I suppose it's not the worst thing in the world. And there's also the context that I need to take into account. Obviously, I had injuries. I had things that I couldn't control going up to the competition, and I did as much as I could as possible to build myself back up to the competition. And I think I did a pretty good job, minus the one or two short landings here and there that maybe I could have been more switched on for. Maybe I could have done a bit more to stop that from happening. But for the most part, I did a lot of good, and I did do, like, especially when it comes to preparation, I did do what I wanted to do. So there's positives in terms of my body's in a better place now. I can push more for things like floor and vault now. Things like my ankle isn't dislocated. That's quite nice. I'm not in a bad place now. And I've got to think about the things that are coming up as well. British teams, and that being the last qualifier for the Commonwealth Games is important. And I need to refocus and start thinking about, okay, what am I going to do different? What do I need to improve? What new skills do I need to add in? What sort of things am I going to do this time? Because last time it didn't work out. What changes am I going to make? Realistically, I need to ask myself, what do I need to do this time to make it so this doesn't happen again? What do I need to do to make sure I am on the bar every single time? What do I need to do to make sure that no matter what happens when it comes to the execution of routines, I'm always getting a good score no matter what happens. So whether I do a good routine or the best routine in my life, I know I'm scoring well. And that's something I heard from Bryony Page in our interview recently that'll come out soon. When she went up to the Olympics in 2024, she knew her best routine would win by miles. She knew an average or a good routine for her would still win. So she did a good routine and she won. It wasn't her best, but she still won. How do I make that happen? How do I make it so the routine that is just good enough. He's actually good enough. He's good enough to make it a gold or silver medal routine. What do I need to do in training? What do I need to have in my mind, my thought process to make that happen? And I mean, at the end of the day, my chances are pretty slim right now of getting into the Commonwealth Games. I know that the selectors will have pretty much made up their mind by this competition. So it's just a matter of, well, not much I can do. So I may as well just give myself the best chance possible by going into the British teams and just doing the biggest routines I can. And not so much the biggest, but the best routines I can. How do I put out routines that I can actually be proud of? Because I think about the routines that I have done in the past. Oh, I always go back to this, but it's the Junior Worlds in 2023. I did pretty simple routines, realistically. Like, the routines I did then weren't difficult for me at all. Even back then, even in 2023, 3 years ago now. So I felt so confident with them that even when I was under that pressure, even when I had to succeed, had to put the performance out there for the country, I suppose, I felt confident that I could do that. Even when I was literally shaking on P-bars, even when I was in the Junior Worlds final on P-bars, I was shaking on the bars, and yet in the routine you can't tell, just because I know, or I knew going in that routine, I'd done everything that I needed to in the preparation, and so I could put out a good routine. Yes, things happen. I went 12 for 14 routines, so certainly not 100%, certainly not even 90%. Yet it was good. It was a good enough ratio, and it was mostly the pressure that had caused those other issues. I hadn't done my grip properly on the P-bars, and I hadn't, high bar. I'd literally not fallen once on those releases, I think, in the entire preparation. And yet I did in the all-around final on the high bar. I did 3 high bar routines, two were clean, 1 fail. And I'd not made a single mistake in the preparation somehow, which is weird. But when it came to the pressurized environment, things changed. But still, because I'd done that prep, because I'd done that block of work that was so good, I got to the competition knowing that I could, and it was fine, and things would go well. So it's, how do I get back to that point? How do I get back to the point of knowing I've done the work and being able to just put it out there, being able to just put out exactly what I know I can, not have bad comps. Everyone does. Like I said at the start, like Joe Fraser, he messed it up at English, and it's okay to mess it up, but it's about how you come back from it. The issue is that I've had 3 of these types of comps. Not awful, but also not good in the slightest. Definitely more negative than positive. And I felt like I've had these comps for 3 years now, since the Junior Worlds, basically. So it's, how do I get back? How do I get back to the point of being able to compete well, being able to put good routines out that I'm happy with? And how do I do that consistently under pressure? And it's not where I want to be. And I'd be lying if I said I was completely fine with it. This is part of it. This is part of the process of getting better. The most important part of this is that I take the right thing away from it, is that I try and learn from it in the right way and try and progress in the right way from it. And the issue with that is, what is the right way? What is the correct way to go? Because obviously I only know what I know now. How do I know what is the best way forwards for me? And it's impossible to know. Obviously, I'm limited by how much I know at this point. I've just got to go in, do my job, hit routines, and show what I can actually do. And at the end of the day, that's all I can control. And I think the biggest thing I have to take from this, not the result, not the routines I did, walk away knowing what I did right, what I can take from that for next time, what I can learn from it, and what I can take from that. Just apply the good, work on the bad, and just rinse and repeat. Because at the end of the day, that's going to be the thing that makes the difference. It's going to be constantly making these minor adjustments. It's the 1%. It's every 10th. I don't know. Psychology is weird, and competition mindset and training mindset and things like that are all really, really weird. It's very hard not to be defeated, to feel defeated, to worry about the future, worry about where I'm going, worry about how far I've got to go, how many skills I need, how many things I need to put into routines, my fitness for routines that I haven't even considered doing, and constructions for routines that I'm not even doing. But all of these things need to be thought about. I need to think about whether I'm going to try and put squat half Coleman into a routine versus something else. Because if I put squat half Coleman in there, then I can't put Coleman in else. Later in the routine, I need to figure out whether I'm going to put Cassina in, and if I'm going to put that Cassina in before or after. I need to think about Stoddle straight. I need to think about Stoddle Luke, and I need to think about Luke, and think about whether I'm going to put Ginger either side of anything. I need to think about other releases like straight Kachev, and I need to think about how much better I'm making my quads. I need to think about doing squat full to undergrasp. I need to think about whether I could connect anything out for squat full and what specifically it would be, whether I need to do squat half into something else, whether it be Stolder straight or Coleman, what I would need to do if I did either of those two, because I think about how I do Stolder straight, and then I think about how difficult that would be out of a squat half, and then I think about how difficult squat half Coleman is, and then I'm like, okay, I don't know whether that's worse or better. And then I think about whether I need to put a Ginger out the back of the Stolder straight, whether I need to do Stolder catch-up later in the routine and put Ginger onto that. There are so many different things, so many different options, so many different varieties of routines that you can do. And yes, I'm just talking about high bar there, but this extends to much beyond high bar. I think P-bars is probably one of the easiest things to figure out because it's what you're good at. How do you put that in a routine? Done. That's it. High bar is so much different because, like, if you're a good high bar worker, you've got so many different combinations that you could do, so many different releases that you could try, so many different things that you could try and put together into a routine, many of which require a lot of energy. So you can't put too many of them into a routine at the same time. It takes a long time to try and figure out what these things could be. The issue is we don't have a lot of time, or it feels like we don't have a lot of time. I certainly don't have a lot of time before Commonwealth Games selection, at least. How do I think about the short term while still keeping in mind the fact that the long term still needs to be considered and thought about and worked on, and what that long term even is? I get that it's trial and error. It feels like that trial and error that trial and error phase, which can be a very long time regardless, just takes so much long because you need to know whether you can get these skills consistent as well. It's not just about putting it on once. You've got to think about how are you able to do it consistently? Can you do it in a routine, in a combination? So there are a lot of things to think about. It is what it is. And I think I'll leave it there because I've talked a lot. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Game of Gymnastics podcast. I know it's been a bit different. It's been a lot more of an honest sort of rant type thing. But I appreciate you guys listening. If you've enjoyed the show, if you enjoy my content, then please be sure to leave a like, follow for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.